Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Sweden once again, and this is another one of the beers that I brought back with me from my recent trip over there. So for this one we're going to head to the Gothenburg area, Göteborg of course, as you would say in Swedish, and we're going to do another visit to Poppels Bryggeri. So this one is the Passion Pale Ale. It comes in at 5.2%, and when I was researching this beer I actually realised that this one started out life as the Project number 6. So it was project number 6, which is the little kind of prototype series that these guys do. So I tried that back, I think, in like September, October 2015. So in some way I have kind of reviewed this beer before, but when it's been made a member of the regular range, I'm sure they will have played with the recipe a little bit and it will be somewhat different. So I'm looking forward to trying it and seeing how it turns out, because the Project series from Poppels of course does tend to be really quite good. So hopefully you guys enjoy this review, and I'm quite excited to see how they've changed this beer a little bit. So yeah, so anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Poppels Bryggeri before. No doubt there will be some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to Poppels Bryggeri then. So as I've mentioned to you before, Poppels Bryggeri were originally based in Mölnlycke, which is to the southeast of Gothenburg, but they're now based in Untappd, which is basically straight out to the east. But the brewery is named after that was owned by Johann Poppel, who was a well-known Swedish-German brewer who spent most of his life in Varberg, which is a little bit to the south of Gothenburg actually, and he also spent a considerable amount of time in Gothenburg itself. But he was born between 1605 and 1610 in Lower Saxony in Germany, and he moved to Sweden with his family in the 1620s. He met his wife Katarina Krakow between 1624 and 1628, and later he founded Gothenburg's first brewery with her officially in 1649, but it's thought they had been brewing since 1638. He's also said to have written down the protocol of the city of Gothenburg in Swedish for the first time, as opposed to German. German, of course, was the working language of Sweden for quite a number of years, but the brewery apparently remained in the Poppels family, and the most famous site of this original brewery in Gothenburg is actually on Stigbergstorget in the city as well, so maybe I need to go and check that out at some point as well and see if there is any remnants of it there. But the brewery in its current form, of course, was founded in 2012 in Mölnlycke on a site that was apparently owned by the Poppel family. The brewery is owned by 15 different beer lovers, and they basically want to focus on the idea of pairing beers with food. The current head brewer is Daniel Granat, who's a bit of a kind of he's basically a experimentalist, if you like. He's a bit of a perfectionist from what I've read as well. He likes to brew most of his beers 4 or 5 times before kind of finally settling on a recipe, and apparently he reads many different blogs and things like that to keep up with the new beer trends, different hops, different malts and yeasts and all these kind of things. So he is quite a, if you're opening up a craft brewery, I guess he's the sort of guy that you want to have if you want to be pushing boundaries and things like this. But in 2015 they moved to their new site at Untappd, which looks really kind of shiny and very interesting actually. Maybe I'll get out there and visit it at some point. As I said, this is out to the east of Gothenburg, and this site also has a restaurant where you can go and eat some of the food and drink some of the beers on tap. And these guys also boast the feat of being the largest organic beer producer in Sweden these days as well, which is really cool. And you can actually see that on their labels as well. You can see this little organic symbol here just looking down at the camera control here. It's pretty cool actually. I can film these on my phone for you and just use the camera and control the camera with the phone. I love that about this. But they've got quite a few different beers that they produce as well. They've got the American Pale Ale, which is one of the regular ones. They've got the Belgisch Wit, the Brown Ale, the Double IPA, Extra Special Bitter, the India Pale Ale, and the Russian Imperial Stout. And of course this one is a member of their regular range now. And it tends to be that they do these kind of Project series beers. And then if they do well, if they go down well, they tend to add them to the actual regular range as well. So yeah, some seasonal beers come out as well with these guys too at Christmas and Easter and things like this. So you can always count on Poppels Bryggeri to give you a few different things. But that's all you need to know about the brewery just now. As I say, if you want to read more about them, do check out the brewery website in the description below. From what I've seen when I was doing a little bit of research before, they have kind of reorganised it and everything. So there's some nice photos of the very new and shiny brewery that they've got out at Untappd as well. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, of course, as well. Swedish speakers or native Swedish speakers, do tell me about that in the comment section below. My Swedish, of course, the pronunciations and grammar and things can be a little bit shaky, but I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. There you can see Poppels Passion Pale Ale, similar style of artwork to most of the Poppels ones. It tells you a little bit about the beer on the side here, and they do actually tell you the kind of things with the beer here. So they tell you about hops and bitterness and all this kind of things, and they tell you what you should pair it with. So they reckon this one should be paired with salad, fish, and I'm not sure what the other one actually is there. But yeah, you can follow them on Facebook and all this sort of thing. And of course, originally this would have said Handverksöl från Mölnlycke as well. So yeah, it's basically handmade beer, if you like. Handverkt kind of means handmade, but they do use it in Swedish in terms of beer as well. And there, of course, is the Poppels bottle cap on this one. I'm stuttering a little bit in this video, as I sometimes do, but let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. Best before date on this one, of course, actually doesn't say. It doesn't really say because it's kind of smeared off, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I only bought this in Systembolaget about a week ago, so it will be pretty good. This, of course, is another one of the beers that I brought over with me from my recent trip to Sweden when I was signing my job contract and things like that. But yeah, as you can see, and as you would expect from a pale ale, it's poured a nice kind of pale golden straw colour. This one is completely see-through. You can see there's quite a bit of transparency to this beer. There's a solid 2/3 of a finger of a, I would say, white frothy head. It does have a little bit of creamy character to it, this one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that nice foamy head there. So overall, it looks pretty much as you would expect from a pale ale. And yeah, so let's have a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Oh yeah. It smells pretty nice, that actually. It's got a nice kind of juicy quality to it, this one. It doesn't smell, if it makes sense to say, it doesn't smell overly bitter. There's not quite as big a kind of floral and grassy component to this one. It definitely smells more kind of juicy and fruity. So yeah, definitely a little bit of grapefruit in there. You can smell the grapefruit just kind of underpinning this one. But those juicier passion fruit notes are coming out as well. And I want to say that there's a wee tiny little bit of an orange or something in there as well. There's definitely some sort of citrusy element to it, which is quite interesting. But yeah, a wee bit of grassy character. I'd definitely say there's an element of grassiness to it. There's not quite the big kind of spicy floral aromatic note that you might expect. But the malt base in this one does have a little bit of prominence too. It's quite juicy and malty in terms of its aroma profile, this beer. So yeah, a little bit of pale malt in there, and definitely some kind of sweeter biscuity element to it as well. But overall, it kind of smells quite nice, and that's one of the things you'll notice about Poppels Bryggeri. I always find that when it comes to these organic beers, the flavour, you can definitely pick up a little bit of that when it comes to the malty side of the beer. And you can pick up just a little bit of it in the aroma as well. The malts smell like really smooth, if that makes sense. The bready character is just that little bit more prominent. But it does smell really nice. Definitely leans more towards the juicy, fruity side of things, and you have got a little bit of that bready, kind of biscuity malt as well. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma before you get stuck into it. But let's have a go at this one then. So this one is the Passion Pale Ale from Poppels Bryggeri in Untappd, originally Mölnlycke near Gothenburg in Sweden. Let's get stuck into this beer. Stanja, skål! Yeah, that's really nice actually. I mean, a lot of people say that the best beer you get from Poppels Bryggeri is the Russian Imperial Stout they did, and you know, that is a bit of a beast of a beer. I will say that about that. That started out its life as one of the Project series as well. I remember the original version of this being a little bit less juicy, from what I remember. This one, to me, just it sort of takes the juicy side of it and pushes it on a little bit. As I always say with beers like this as well, sugar it around your palate and just let your whole mouth adjust to it. before you start analysing it too much. But my immediate first impression of this beer is that it's just a little bit more juicy than some of the other ones, or than the original version, I should say, the Project Sex from that they did before. This one, to me, I'm pretty sure this has been played with a little bit, but they've done it in a really nice way, actually. Yeah, I mean, in terms of a pale ale, I have had, in recent times, I mean, I've had some pale ales where you try them and you're kind of, in some way, you're just like, how is that not an IPA? You know, it has that big it has that slightly bigger malty presence and boozier presence that you'd expect to the IPA. And the whole point, of course, when it comes to the IPA, or the pale ale, the IPA, the double IPA, it's all about the malt to hops ratio. So with the pale ale, you've got a lower, you know, you've got less malt in it. With the IPA, you've got a little bit more, and with the double IPA, you've got even more than that. So, and the barley wine, of course, is related as well, but with this one, it just has that nice light malt base. The pale ale, for me, is always supposed to be a sessionable beer. It's meant to be one that's easy drinking, and they've achieved that with this. So, in terms of that, a big thumbs up to Poppels Bryggeri for this one. They've done a really nice job with it. And I do remember enjoying the first incarnation of this beer in that way as well. And for me, from what I can remember, albeit that's 2 and a bit years ago now, this version of it definitely comes across as a little bit more juicy. So the malt base in this beer is pretty straight up, and that's what you expect from a pale ale. There's a little bit of a pale malty character in there. You can feel just with the smoothness from it. I always find that when it's organic beers, the malt base has this kind of smooth quality to it. You can feel that kind of nice, it's not quite doughy, but just that smooth pale ale character in this one. If you go right into the middle of your palate, there's a nice sort of lighter, kind of sweeter, biscuity malt quality to it as well, which is really nice. And you do want a little bit of complexity to your malt base. You don't want it simply to be kind of to be pale malt and that's it. And they've achieved that quite nicely with this one. But yeah, I like what this one's kind of going for. On the hoppy side of things with this beer, in the back corners of the palate, there's a tiny little bit of earthiness. As you come further forward along the sides of your tongue, there's a nice sort of spicy, floral aromatic note. Then around the very front curve of the palate, you get a little bit of that lighter, sort of grassy quality to the beer. And it builds a good bridge actually with the fruity notes. So as I always say, when you go behind the front curve of your palate, that's when you get that little oily bubble where these nice kind of fruity, juicy esters come out. And in this case, it's definitely, there's a wee bit of grapefruit underpinning it, but really it leans towards the passion fruit side of things. I do think there's a good bit of Simcoe in this beer. The flavours that are coming out of this, the passion fruit note that it has, it really does remind me of Simcoe. There might be a little bit of something else in there as well. There's almost a little bit of a mango-y flavour to it, which is quite interesting. But yeah, you know, I can see why they've called it Passion Pale Ale. It's obvious, you know, the passion fruit flavour in this one is really pretty obvious. I do suspect quite heavily that it's Simcoe in there. I'm not going to say for definite, but in terms of the hop, it's always Simcoe that gives you that passion fruit quality. Of course, you can get some of the Australian hops that do it as well. Is it Ella, I want to say, gives you that... or if it is Victoria, see, there's one of the Australian hops that can give you a really good passion fruit quality as well. But the American one that, of course, we would be more familiar with in Europe is the one that gives you the passion fruit, the Simcoe hop. But in terms of a pale ale and in terms of a sessionable pale ale, Poppels have done a really good job with this one. So if you want a nice sessionable beer, if you like the Simcoe hop, if you like passion fruity flavours, you are going to enjoy this. There's a little bit of grapefruit there just kind of underpinning it, and as the beer mellows out a little bit, you get a little bit more of that kind of spicy floral aromatic note, and some of the darker grapefruit does come out, but for the most part that nice passion fruity quality does just sit there on the palate. But it's a really nice beer, and in terms of being a pale ale, you know what I'm talking about, with an original, a sort of proper feel to the pale ale in terms of sessionability. This beer definitely ticks that box for me. So have a go at it and see what you think, and I'm quite glad that they did manage to get this beer into the regular range, and it is good to see a brewery kind of stick to their guns like that and really do that. You know, when it comes to experimentation, if people like one of their beers, put it into the regular range, and it is, as I say, it's cool to see that Poppels have done that. In terms of the mouthfeel of this beer then, I would say light to mid-bodied. Carbonation, it does have a little bit of crispness to it, this one, which is nice. It really does suit the beer. The carbonation does have a little bit of an attack on it. It's quite a wet mouth feel, this one. There's a little bit of oily quality, but more wet than anything else. A little bit of hoppy bitterness to it. It's not going to blow your head off in terms of IBUs. It does lean a little bit towards the kind of juicy fruity side of things, which again suits the beer, the passion fruity qualities that the beer has, and some of the darker fruits in there as well. I suspect that there's maybe a wee bit of mango in there or something too, the nice kind of juicy fruity characters, but it definitely leans towards that kind of passion fruit side of things. The malt base is quite smooth, there's a little bit of sweetness to it, and as I say, in terms of the fruitiness, it does lean a little bit more towards the juicy side of things. But overall, it's a really nice beer. In terms of being a proper pale ale, if you like, that's what I think this beer's strength is. So really glad to see that Poppels brought this into their permanent range, if you like. So yeah, if you get the chance to try this, have a go at it. It started out life as the Poppels Projekt Nummer 6. I think it was Smooth it was called, or the Smålands Öl Festival, something like that, and they've brought it into their permanent range now. So big thumbs up to Poppels for this one. If you enjoy a night, if you enjoy the Simcoe hop, this is a beer you're going to enjoy. If you enjoy passion fruity flavours, then I think, and again, it's a beer that you're going to enjoy. Galaxy was the hop I was looking for earlier, actually. That's the one, the Australian one that tends to give you passion fruit as well. So maybe they've used both of those in this actually, because it does have that, a little bit of that tropical fruit complexity as well. But yeah, have a go at this beer and see what you think. So until the next time, Slange just now, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know your own thoughts on the original one as well, if you can remember that far back. I'll be quite impressed if you can. But do let me know your own thoughts on these beers in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite ones are from Poppels as well, and I'm sure I'll return to them at some point in the future. Do check out my social media and all these sorts of things, and you can look forward to more reviews from these guys and from other Swedish brewers in the future. So Slange just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Passion Pale Ale from Poppels Bryggeri in Jonserad, just outside of Gothenburg in Sweden. Slange just now. Skål.